And we're live, correct?
Yes, I think so.
It's Detroit Tigers baseball after dark. I mean, SEC after dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very sudden. I'm like, hey, it was like one of those things you always do a skit for where you're like, oh, I'm live. No, we are actually live this time. It's SEC After Dark. Stephen Willis, Jeb Beecham, Jake Thomas joining me. I'm Corey Burton. We are excited to be with you. SEC tournament basketball is on the horizon. Ole Miss got themselves a win, and they're on the potential to get themselves a new head coach. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. Maybe some of these proposed pods that came out. Alabama got the lucky end of the deal.
Those are not pods. That's just permanent opponents. That's a different thing.
I know.
Yeah.
I just like to. I know it makes people skin crawl when they hear pods. So just kind of I gotta
think of like
I gotta poke the fans. Yeah. So the permanent opponents came out, and we'll talk about that. Like I said, Alabama was extremely lucky on that deal. So we are presented by BetOnline.ag, the number one source for all your sports betting needs. NCAA tournament, SEC tournament is right here upon us, so there's plenty of bracket pools and things you can get involved in on BetOnline.ag. They have all the latest odds, scores, games, player props, game trends, all that stuff at BetOnline. They feature live betting, free contests, and live scores for almost any sport or game imaginable. We're the fastest and easiest way to bet all of your favorite leagues and events. So head to betonline.ag, join, receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Make sure you use the promo code Bleav to receive your rewards. That's BLEAV to receive your rewards on betonline.ag. BetOnline is where the game starts. Also, brand new partnership with Bleav In Georgia Dawgs. Row One brand got some vintage art watches. So if you use that promo code DAWGS20, you can go get you one. And it's not just Georgia watches. They have all kind of vintage art. It's all expired copyright stuff that has made it now and ventured its way into public domain. They have grabbed it and made some art. They have much more than watches, but we're going to focus on timepieces because that's the last accessory for you to look dapper when you go to that business meeting or that wedding or that very nice dinner out. You want to put on your vintage art watch. So I have one on the way. I've got to pick one out. So that'll be fun. DAWGS20, Row One brand. I'm very, very excited. So, Chris, Beard.
Yeah, the chat seems to be going with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a very dramatic way to say Chris Beard. But he's potentially on his way to Ole Miss, Steve. Is this a heel turn for you guys?
I think so too. My show today that I did was talking about how this was a heel turn, and honestly, this is the culmination of everything they started with Hugh Freeze at Ole Miss back in the 2013-2014 season, and they eventually just tried to bury Ole Miss. You saw think pieces from writers like Dan Wolken and Pat Forty talking about how Ole Miss needs the death penalty. And you look at what actually happening. You have Laramie Tunsil sleeping on a coach's couch. Tennessee actually is going to get off so much easier than what Ole Miss did, but Ole Miss gets hammered just because they're Ole Miss. The old joke is like the NCAA was so incensed at Kentucky that they put Cleveland State in 3 years more probation. And It is one of that thing, and as it been, Ole Miss hired Lane Kiffin. That should have been our first clue that honestly we just don't care anymore. You hate us, do what you need to do, hate us. This would absolutely take that to another level. And then I don't want to put Mike Bianco in that category because he's probably one of the nicest college coaches just out there. Not even college baseball coaches, just period coaches.
He's going to be healed by association.
But he's going to be healed by association, and the national championship is going to heal it.
Yeah. So it's going to heal the heel.
Yeah.
Think about that one.
Yeah.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Yeah. So, Steve, I just judging by your Detroit Tiger fandom, the Ole Miss
lifelong 8 days. 8 days ago, I decided to be a lifelong Detroit Tiger fan.
There you go. And Ole Miss started that.
And he's bought all in too.
Yeah, I am all in. I have watched every single Detroit Tigers spring training game.
See, Steve does not dip the toe. He's
No,
not
no,
the guy that
no,
he's not
neither
the guy
break.
that enters the pool on the steps, dude. He's doing a triple Lindy off the diving board.
Back to school. I like it.
Cassidy, glad to get me on the show. By the way, just we had a little bit of drama earlier today, and I have a shunt in my head, basically from my brain surgery.
What's
A shunt is a device that takes the fluid that's around the brain and drains excess fluid because you don't have the ability to do it. Normally, everybody else does that. Like washes the brain every 4 hours. Well, mine wouldn't do that, and it would cause pressure to build up. So my settings got off on that today, and I've been trying to find all day somebody to relieve that. And I thought for a second I was going to have to go to the VA, and then I called the VA. I was like, well, let's just see if they actually have it. So we give them a call, and they're like, what is this equipment? I don't know anything about that. It's like, okay, don't worry. We are not going to go to the VA. So eventually I'm going to have to go over and see my neurosurgeon over there because I know he has the equipment and just to check it. So I'm going to have a dull headache for a couple of days.
Is that at South Florida?
Yes.
Down in Tampa?
Yeah.
USF Hospital, right? Is that where you go?
Yeah, it's right across from Tampa General Hospital. It's top 10 in the country. It's nice. They've got their own little island. Whenever they did property back in the day, it was just different because Tampa General Hospital and everything's just on an island. It's bizarre.
Got to get across the moat of gators to get there. So, but yeah, so Chris Beard, I think basketball wise, it's a great hire. You hope that all the legal drama and all the stuff that is behind him, there's certainly some red flags there, but
not for Ole Miss, I don't think.
Yeah.
Now, what would be something for Kentucky to do? Even somebody like Tennessee or Alabama now, as nationally prominent as they are, Texas, that obviously sticks out to them. But for Ole Miss, this is probably one of the worst Power 5 jobs in men's basketball out there. And it's
not worse than Georgia. Georgia's pretty bad.
Yeah,
Not worse than South Carolina.
But I think you guys
they at least got a new arena.
Yeah, you guys went to a Final Four, didn't you, with Dominique?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
We went to a Sweet 16.
Yeah,
we went to a Sweet 16 once.
Period.
Yeah, that is the Ole Miss basketball tradition, like 7 NCAA tournament appearances. It's bad.
Wow.
So that's the reason. There's no risk for Ole Miss basketball. The risk is you continue to be irrelevant. This is the one chance you are trying to change that. And the odds are the man knows his career's on the line. He's not going to go. He's not a serial beater, whenever that happened. I'm not worried about that because he genuinely knows that millions of dollars is on the line. And the wife who complained that they're talking about, well, he obviously paid her off to drop the charges or not charges. Like, no, her path to making money, she's a girlfriend, not a wife. Her path to making money was to keeping those charges on the books and going after him in civil court. That was her path. So I think people are connecting some dots and making it worse than it was. And also I think that some people are looking at it and it's like maybe not as bad as it was, but it's probably somewhere in the middle. At the end of the day, I'm expecting – you didn't hear anything about this guy whenever he was at Arkansas, Little Rock, or Texas Tech. It just, to my knowledge, just happened one time. So I'm not going to let 15 minutes of somebody's life change my entire judgment of that person moving forward.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. You just gotta the antenna's just got to be up a little further for a guy like that. But that's all I'm saying. It's just a little bit. So I think basketball wise, it's a great hire and tremendous opportunity for Ole Miss to get somebody that can maybe turn that program around. So hopefully it works out for you guys.
Yeah. And like I said, I get people, we live in a ready, fire, aim society. And,
hell yeah.
And that bothers me a little bit. The honest thing, to my opinion, is when he was at Texas, honestly, they should have let it play out a little bit more. But they got pressure because of all those people that have moved into Austin. Austin's it's a different Texas than the rest of the state. I mean, if you go to Austin, it's different.
Their slogan is "Keep Austin Weird."
Yeah, it might as well be Portland. It is bizarre. And that is what the University of Texas is in the middle of. So something like that news gets made, it's on the newscast, and all of a sudden that outcry, that uproar is going to be a little bit different than, say, if it was in Lubbock or even if it was in Houston. But like I said, it is what it is. Honestly, he wouldn't be available to Ole Miss. Ole Miss wouldn't have a shot to get him if something like this didn't happen. So, I mean, it is what it is, but Ole Miss needs to be ready to take advantage of it, and they need to, get on the ball.
Well, I mean, I guess Auburn hired Bruce Pearl with a bunch of warts, so
Hugh Freeze.
I was going to say, Auburn does that a lot.
That's nothing new for Auburn.
Can I play devil's advocate for a second? Just because of what you're saying with no risk. I don't know.
Jeb is the devil.
I think, well, and someone mentioned in the comments, who cares? But there is actually, I think, some risk here just for the fact that this is all now, just what you would consider red flags. If he does do this again, and the problem with that is somebody who does things out of anger, logic doesn't always go into it. So you can't say, well, he knows millions of dollars online, so he won't do it. Hopefully he won't. But it could happen. And if it does happen again, not only will he get in a lot of trouble, but now it's going to be just inextricably associated with Ole Miss. Like, it's going to be an Ole Miss thing because you hired him knowing that, and this is the way he's going to look at it when people look at the past. They're going to say, oh, you knew that. You knew we were going in because he'd already done it, and you still hired him. Even if that's not really fair because, I mean, the charges were dropped. We don't know what happened. But, when people look back, they don't look at that as logically as you would think.
Well,
I think that's the biggest risk for Ole Miss is just getting tied to a big scandal if it happens and not being able to, say, oh, that wasn't us. That was him.
There's some risk in there, because somebody that has anger
but the flip side of that is nobody cares about Ole Miss basketball.
I was going to say, who cares? If you're an Ole Miss fan, who cares what people think?
Yeah.
I was going to say that just for people who care about the image of the university, but you're right. I mean,
but do people think of Destiny and Mike Price and his incident when it comes to Alabama football?
Well, did they have a lot of red flags going into it and should have known better?
Well, he did.
Did it re-spiral Alabama into absolute obscurity? No.
They got him Nick Saban.
They got him Nick Saban.
A few years after, but yeah.
Yep.
Like the damage, like Ole Miss would do all of this to build their basketball program, and then something like this, something happens again. He has another fit of anger, gets fired, and then now you're back into obscurity again to never be found in a basketball program. That's the risk. I mean,
no, but
I
do not think there's any risk like that because you take Penn State, okay? Take Penn State football. That's a similar situation in the middle of nowhere. They went through a horrible scandal that everybody knew about and was publicized and dragged through the mud for a year. 3 years later, they're having 110,000 people, whiteouts, and going absolutely nuts. None of that has rubbed off on those people.
No.
I think we are willing, whatever we are willing to wear is what the risk is, honestly.
But
if you want to say that, me too. If the program just wanted to go completely rogue and just didn't care, I honestly don't think if they did not want to, if they wanted to go into it's like there's no risk, we're not going to do anything, and we don't care what they do. I mean, it's not going to rub off on us. It wouldn't. You only risk what you're willing to take in today's world, especially when other people are involved. I understand what you were saying.
It's totally not the best example, though, because if you ask somebody to tell me what you know about Penn State, that scandal's going to get brought up in that conversation pretty quickly.
Yeah, but it's not hurting them recruiting. It's not hurting them selling tickets. It's all public opinions and a bunch of
blue blood. That's a blue blood brand.
But it doesn't. That doesn't matter. I don't. There's no way for a school to.
At some point, I get it. So.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's a huge risk. I'm just saying there is some risk there. I can understand why the administration would be.
There is a ton of risk to Chris Beard, a ton.
There's a ton of upside too.
Yes,
I mean,
Whenever you look at it, I did a video a couple of weeks ago called "Risk is Relative," and my whole point of that one was the risk for Kentucky and the risk for Ole Miss basketball, two different things. That threshold is there. So the upside for Chris Beard is going to completely outweigh the risk for Ole Miss.
Because Kentucky has more to lose. Yeah, I get that.
And when you look at that situation right there, whenever something happens, immediately the media is going to come on to the coaching search. That's just the way they're wired. They might talk about it a couple of times and it might be in the news, but they're going to talk about the coaching search moving on to the next person. Chris Beard, they're going to talk about him forever. But as far as Ole Miss goes, it's again going to be 48, 72 hours. This is even if something else happened, which I honestly don't think it will.
I don't think so either, but
no,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's just got to bring up the flip side. I mean, you know, just it's good. It's good for debate. I mean, you know, it's risk management at its finest here. Like what, you know, like you said, what is Ole Miss willing to risk? Are they willing to take the upside of being a relevant program that competes year in and year out in the tournament, beyond the first round, and eventually for championships to potentially. I mean, I guess it could happen with Mike White. It could happen with
Happen with
Rick
anybody.
Barnes or
Yeah,
NATO.
nobody's
happen with
exempt
anybody.
for that. Yeah,
But I mean, I'm with Steve on this though. I mean, if you're an Ole Miss fan, you're an Ole Miss program who has been irrelevant in basketball.
Yeah, you
for
need that
years
risk.
after years. You take that risk to get to relevancy. And Chris Beard is out there. You absolutely have to go after him.
yeah,
he
and
does
all
seem like
the
the kind of coach that could get you to relevancy.
Because somebody else will.
And
Right.
all the bad press that's going to come out if they choose to hire him for those 2 days. I hate to break it to everybody, but even bad publicity is good publicity.
Absolutely.
That is going to get Ole Miss's names in front of people talking about what's going on. And that's going to make that program more relevant than it already is.
Well,
I mean, I sound heartless. I sound heartless on this case, but honestly,
You sound like
The
a
per-
homer is what you sound like.
well, it's in the name, right? It's on the wall.
how dare you talk Ole Miss?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But everybody says believe all victims. That's the big punchline whenever, not punchline, but you know what I mean. But big line from all this, believe all victims. But the reality is believe all victims except whenever they say something different, whenever they say something I don't agree with, whenever they say anything like that. Because in this case, there's two completely different stories. Nobody knows what happened. And we're just going to assume whichever side gets us closer to our point, as opposed to actually caring about the truth, because we don't care about the truth. We just care about what can further what we think about what's going on. Our original take, we're going to defend it to the death. You know, what does that take? And that is going to depend on how you and which side you believe. Honestly,
And she dropped it, and they're not pressing charges. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with Beard, like he's a bad person and you should avoid him. I was just saying that there is actually risk. It's not like it's a riskless thing. There is some risk involved, but it's not that much. And certainly, I think you're right. It's worth it for Ole Miss for what the upside could be.
Yeah, I mean, just say 3 years from now they hire him, and in 3 years something else comes out on him. At least he's got them to the point where they can get that next coach.
Yeah,
You know,
maybe.
they can go after a big name coach.
Yeah, that's the hope. That's
Right.
why you take that risk. But then again, to go back to the devil advocate's point, and Steve, I'm with you. It's well worth the risk, and I would say for Georgia to take that risk too if they hadn't hired Mike White a year prior, who I think is really good. But you have to think just at the root of it, what causes these domestic violence cases, anger issues. What is he about to walk into? There's a pressure cooker that the SEC is. No matter how irrelevant your program is, it is a lot of pressure. And pressure can either make you or break you. Some people thrive under it, some people don't. And you know, that's the red flag that I guess you have to look at. Okay, when things get tough, is he going to be able to handle it, or is he going to fall off the handle? Is he going to lose it? You know, not necessarily go and beat his wife, but is he going to lose it and just in general? Is he going to melt down in games and all of a sudden you thought this hire was great and he can't because he keeps melting down in these games? Or You just gotta look at it
But
at the
that
root of it.
that doesn't happen. The sample size is already there. That doesn't happen.
Well,
Yeah.
You never know.
I mean,
But I'm with you, Steve.
What
I am
kind
with
of you think about what kind of pressures he's coming into at Ole Miss? I mean, they're at the bottom now. There's really no threat, or there's nobody wanting them. They do want to get better, but there's not like somebody breathing down their neck. So you got to get better, you got to get better, got better. If he would have went to Alabama, I mean, there's pressure at Alabama. Just think about the next coach comes in at Alabama after Nick Saban. There's going to be pressure there. This is a situation. There's no pressure on Chris Beard to take this job.
You win
This
20
pressure's not
games.
the smacker next time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you win 12 games, you're good.
Win 20 games a year. All of a sudden, they'll put a statue out front of the pavilion. Because the reality of it is, and nobody wants to talk about this, Ole Miss spent $100 million on that beautiful arena. Beautiful state-of-the-art arena that right now is getting 2,000 people in it per game.
Right.
That's a problem. That will never work out.
Yeah.
You hire Chris Beard, you probably add 2,000 people by just signing him. Tomorrow.
If they hire Chris Beard, they sell that arena out 10 times next year.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so.
can see that.
But yeah, no, I'm totally with you. I just had to bring up some of that devil's advocate stuff.
Yeah,
just
it's fun to talk about. It doesn't matter necessarily to me, but I mean, it's worth talking about because that's conversations that need to happen.
Right.
I mean, you got to search all angles. You got to look at it from all angles. So, but let's talk SEC basketball tournament.
All right.
Ooh.
Let's talk tournament here.
I've only had one game.
Well,
Yeah,
Ole Miss is already.
Speaking of Ole Miss,
We want
Doesn't look like y'all
Tennessee.
need beard.
We're bringing the McDonald's bags.
hell yeah.
Miles Burns about to go like N1 on y'all. Seriously though, Miles Burns is really good.
Nah, if you say so. We have lost one of our best players, so you just never know.
Georgia's currently playing against LSU.
Score update.
Our other playoff.
I just flipped it on. It came back from commercial. They haven't flashed the score yet.
It says they're going to start at 8:30 tip off. So
And I just saw a headline that Jim Boeheim is not returning as Syracuse's head coach.
yeah,
They've already hired a coach. By the way, one of his lead assistants is going to be the guy who replaces him.
It's crazy. It just shows you how out of touch I've been today.
Jim Boeheim is like 90.
Yeah.
It's about time to retire.
He's been at Syracuse for 47 seasons.
Oh, good Lord.
That's insane, dude.
Yeah.
He started the Big East with Rick Pitino. Okay, ESPN.
That 30 for 30 it was fantastic, by the way.
Yeah, Requiem for a Dream, something like that.
Requiem for the Big East.
Dream.
Yeah, the Requiem
there
for
it
the
goes.
Big East.
I knew it was based on that title. I was trying to figure. Sicario Quindo must be doing something right for Georgia. They keep showing his highlights, and they're just ISOing him.
Oh, this just seems unfair. So Ole Miss won, and they have to play Tennessee tomorrow. Whoever wins your game gets to play Vanderbilt.
Hell yeah.
That's just not fair. To Ole Miss.
No, that's not fair to Georgia. Vanderbilt's lost the second least amount of games since February.
Oh, this game's about to tip.
Ooh.
This game's haven't even started yet.
Yeah, they are kicking themselves for that LSU loss that they had and the early December and November losses because Vandy is they're 12-6 in the league. They're good.
Yeah, they've turned a corner there under Stack, but Georgia is the 11th seed somehow. Georgia's 6-12 in league play. This game just tipped. It's 0-0.
Yeah, Georgia kind of went on a hot streak, and then they kind of cooled off later in the season.
Well, Israel and I were talking about this on Bleav In Georgia Dawgs, but we were kind of talking about what Georgia needs. Georgia lacks an inside presence.
Mm-hmm.
We live and die on the perimeter, and when we're hot, dude, we're hot. But when we're cold, it is ice cold, dude. It's two extremes.
How cold?
Ice cold.
Ice cold.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
See,
Tennessee.
See, we get it. We finally get a good pass to the paint, and we can't even finish the lay-in.
Tennessee had teams like that a while back where it was just 3-pointers were we could get hot and just destroy anybody on threes, and then
it's
you go
the
cold,
Steph,
we get beat by 30.
It's the Steph Curryization of basketball.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
No more slashers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
By the way, since y'all brought up analytics, I know everything goes back to me being a lifelong Detroit Tigers fan. Everything goes back to that. But one thing that has happened in spring practice or spring training, they are running. They are actually stealing bases again.
Really?
And it is a ton more exciting game. Well, I guess it's the larger bases and the fact that they can only go over to first base 2 times per batter.
Mm-hmm.
And
pitch clock is
the pitch clock, the whole
clock.
9 yards.
Pitch clock is great. Yeah.
There is some base running that's almost so aggressive it's shambolic. But they are absolutely doing it. I'm telling you, it's fun to watch.
Dude, some of these pitchers have already figured out how to troll the pitch clock.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
I forget who it was. I was watching. I think it was Scherzer, Max Scherzer, pitchers for the Mets now. Ugh. But he was trolling batters. He would get it, and he would come set almost immediately, and then just stand there for the rest of the pitch clock, set. And then the batter would have to call time, and then he'd do the same thing when the batter got back in the box, and so the batter couldn't call time again. So he had to wait, load it up, and then Scherzer would just deliver some pellet up there, and it was unhittable anyway. But
so you brought up something, Steve. I hadn't heard about this. So you can only make a pickoff move twice now per batter, right?
Right.
So once you do the second one, I guess that lead runner can just get as far out as he wants to. You can't go back over there.
Well, you can still throw over there. You just have to get the guy out because if he is safe, it's like a balk.
Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be weird, but I'm going to enjoy that this year. I like these new rules.
Yeah,
they've already got the shift. They've already messed with that too. Bringing the left fielder down into where it used to be at. So, yeah, those won't get a way around it.
Yeah, they can do whatever they want to do with that. But if somebody hits it the other way and the left fielder's moved over, that's a triple.
That's a triple. And the fast guy be inside the park home run. So,
but you got to think the pitcher's gonna.
Pitch him inside.
Pitcher's going to make sure that he's not going to give him anything to spray out there to left field.
Yeah, but he better be precise.
Yeah, really.
Well, most guys at that level kind of are.
Well, the problem is, it might not be a number 1 or number 2 starter. That could be a number 5 guy that day, and the scouting report is the scouting report.
Maybe the number 5 guy doesn't get the shift because he's the number 5 guy.
Maybe
they have to play him straight up because he can't be as precise as your number 1.
But I like the idea of moving the outfielder over. There's nothing wrong with that to me.
No,
it's better than the shift. The thing that bothers me is taking up the infield grass. Basically, it's probably a 65% chance it's going to be a grounder, and if it's, you play analytics for a reason, but now that you have to have 2 on either side of the bag and you're not allowed to be on the grass, you have to be on the dirt. It's pretty cool. It makes it to where ground balls are more effective, honestly. And you're seeing a little bit more small ball and old school baseball come in this spring. Now, I don't know if that's going to be the same thing whenever the season starts. But
it will. It will. It's gonna. You're gonna see a lot more aggressive play. You're gonna see some groundskeepers get creative with how they cut the infield too. You're gonna see. You're gonna see all kind of stuff. You're gonna see You're gonna see some. You're gonna see some anti-shift swats out there. You're gonna see batters almost running out of the box to make sure they slap the ball to left.
The fast pitch softball thing.
Yes.
Yeah, the Ichiro. I call him the Ichiro because he was
I love Ichiro. Yes.
Stuff like that is going to happen in baseball where it's a big chess game. If there's one sport that plays to analytics it's baseball, and analytics is not a punchline.
You know, I tell people all the time. I mean, they're talking about the base because the shift and everything that was going on with baseball was absolutely destroying the game. It just absolutely was. Analytics was basically chewing it up and spitting it out. But it was no different than the NHL.
Hitters couldn't get the ball. Hitters couldn't get the ball through the infield because I mean the shift was so effective that it ruined hitters.
Yeah. And but the way I see it, this era of baseball is no different than the midline trap era of the NHL, to where they had to do away with the 2-line pass and things like that to open up the ice again a little bit because they had figured out how to do that. This is just a natural part of the game, but I think
it's always going to evolve.
Baseball games 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours.
Glad baseball's evolving. It's hopefully going to become a better TV sport with all the running, the pitch clocks, and you have to it's always been a perfect background sport because it's so slow. Like you can do a million other things and watch a baseball game and not miss anything. And now with all the steals, all the hit and runs, all the grounders that are going to get through that wouldn't normally get through, all the base hits, all the runs being scored. If runs are being scored, people are running, and balls are leaving the yard, people are going to be interested. Yeah. People are going to be interested. And Aaron Judge, I think he signed with the Giants, right?
No, he's playing with the Yankees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's still.
Okay, so I guess I lost touch with that story.
I saw him hit a bomb last night, so that's how I know that.
Okay, yeah, he's still with the game.
I just haven't tuned into baseball yet. But Georgia, speaking of college baseball, Georgia took 2 out of 3 from Georgia Tech, which is impressive. Georgia Tech has a pretty solid team, and Georgia played long ball on Saturday.
Ole Miss is playing Purdue this weekend for a chance at the Big Ten title after beating Maryland, Minnesota, and Nebraska.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Going after, we took 3 out of 4 from Maryland. We beat Minnesota in one game, and we beat Nebraska in one game, and now we have a 3-game set with Purdue.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia's got 2. They just won their pair over Georgia Southern to win the state title, and then they got Charleston. They got a 3-game set with Charleston Southern, and then Wofford before they start conference play against South Carolina.
Would y'all beat the Nerds?
We beat the Nerds 2 out of 3.
Okay.
16-6 on Saturday. Jaden Woods on Friday pitched a gem. He pitched 2 innings. He pitched a gem. I'm looking at the box score right now. Let's see. He had 6 innings pitched, 3 hits. Looks like he had no earned runs. Where's his strikeouts? The stat line is so weird. Strikeouts 8.
Y'all want to hear a stupid stat?
What's that?
Ole Miss, let's see, what are they, 10-2, I think, at this point. They have 4 400 hitters, over 400, and the 5th place one is 390.
Yeah, Georgia's they're 10-3 right now. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Alabama has only had 4 games where they haven't scored 10 runs so far. Yeah. So they're
I'm not saying anything, but who's Alabama played?
Nobody.
Okay.
That's the thing. Everybody's talking about it, but at least get your hits in and see what you have once at least you got a lot of momentum coming in.
You still have to hit it where they ain't.
Charlie Condon 1,000 slugging percentage.
Alabama's up 16-3 right now on Alabama State. So again,
we have 2 400 hitters.
Yeah. We have Columbia and then 1 game against a 3-game series, and then we go to South Alabama for a game before we start conference play against Florida.
Okay.
Florida Gators.
Florida's pretty good this year.
Bama softball won.
That's shocking.
Oh, okay. Are y'all familiar what happened in the Tennessee Gonzaga game?
Mm-mm.
What?
Softball?
No, remind me.
Okay.
We
swept them, but
baseball.
Baseball.
Okay. A Tennessee batter got into the box and basically quick pitched a Tennessee batter who fouled it off, and he started doing the Tennessee thing where he starts mouthing the pitcher immediately and walking out towards the mound a little bit, and then comes back in and gets in the box. Well, the next pitch he wears because the Gonzaga pitcher is like, I'm self-policing. This was stupid. You're going to act like a fool.
Puts it right on his ankle too, I think, right?
Yeah, hit him in the calf. He didn't even hit him hard. It was nothing that was, but he hit him there. What are y'all's opinions on that? Because I'm of the opinion a pitcher has every right to self-police. And I think
agree,
that,
100%.
and I think that,
I don't see any problem with it. I mean, I guess I see the umpire's point of like maybe preventing a bench clearing brawl, but I think it's fine. I think if you show your ass as a batter, you deserve to wear one. Not in the ear hole, not in the helmet. Put one in the ribs, put one on the hip, and move on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's one of those situations with me, like with bat flips and people that celebrate home runs, and they absolutely act crazy. I'm all for them being able to do that, but you should be aware that there's a good chance you're going to wear it next time through. The person after that is probably going to take a baseball. I mean, you don't see pitchers acting like Leslie Nielsen if they strike out a batter.
Right.
In this situation, I mean, everybody goes, I've always been pro pitcher, and I'll probably continue to be that way. But, yeah, I think they absolutely should be able to self-police.
Spoken like a true Justin Verlander fan.
Was it, I think, when Ole Miss was playing Maryland a couple weeks ago.
Where he pimped a home run?
Yeah, he pimped a home run. Did he wear one?
No, he should have. That was my thing. They absolutely should have.
Yeah.
Now I'll say this: there is a fine line between bat flipping, going crazy, and over pimping a home run, and then just like I think you have a little bit of leeway for celebration. Or I think in the batter's case, in the Tennessee case, if he would have just like said something to him from the box, I think it would have been a little sensitive for him to plunk him. But since he came out onto the grass a little bit and then circled back around, I think I think when it gets to the more extreme levels, I think you have that self-policing has to happen.
Looking at a home run for just a second or maybe a slight bat flip, nothing ridiculous, to me is no different than every time a dang pitcher strikes out a batter and he has to walk around the pitcher's mound. I mean, that those two are similar things. But if you go above and beyond that,
plus I like the friction that it creates. I think it's good for baseball. Like I like the bat flips and I like the pitchers reacting. No bench clearing brawls, just a little bit of rivalry of between the two teams there from the mound to the plate, and I like that a little bit if it doesn't go overboard. And I like a little bit of flair to baseball. Like I want baseball to have flair because it can be a really, really good sport.
Does LSU play Tennessee this year?
Yes. At the end of March.
End of March. Okay. Watching every bit of that because LSU's doing to people what Tennessee did to people last year.
What if it conflicts with Detroit Tigers? Are you going to watch all 162 games?
Probably not. But I'm going to try, especially if it's a day game. I'm going to watch because I'm here by myself. Yeah, I mean, you put it on the background, do other things. You got those sultry sounds of Kirk Gibson telling stories.
Heck yeah.
It was pretty good. Today was the first Detroit Bally's Detroit broadcast, so I got to meet the crew. It's kind of like an introduction period.
Brave's got a new play-by-play guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's going to be weird.
Is it Hip Carey?
No. It's Brandon Gaulden, something like that.
Something like that, yeah. I haven't learned his name yet.
Mm-hmm.
Braden Gall?
No, it's Gall.
It's going to be Braden Gall and Chris Childers on the call for the
yeah. I'm the show pony.
Mm-hmm.
Ma.
You know Childers ain't going to call any other team but the White Sox.
Yeah.
He's a Southsider.
He is true. He is true Southsider. True
which
socks.
was ironic because he lived in the north side of town.
And
It's very ironic.
And I know spring training don't really mean much. You're getting a lot of like younger guys to play and stuff. But
That's where championships are won.
I don't think the Braves have won a game yet in spring training.
I don't think they care.
But still,
I can't remember. I can't remember his name. The
Spring
superstar.
training.
Who's the superstar for the Braves? I forgot his name.
Acuna?
Yes, he is having all kinds of problems with the pitch clock.
I'm sure.
Well, he needs to get it worked out in spring training.
Yeah,
That's what it's for.
that's what it's
He
for.
ain't played like 2 games, and we've already played like 10.
Yeah,
So that's the thing about spring training. None of your best players play until like the last week of spring training.
and now with the World Baseball Classic, they don't play at all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
You think,
you know,
you think
Boston,
Pedro Serrano makes the team?
I hit. They throw the ball
He's
straight.
straight.
It goes far.
I hit straight ball very far. Ball move. Serrano don't like. Bat don't
Bats
like.
are afraid.
Bats are afraid. There you go. There's the line.
Yeah. So the Boston Red Sox played a spring training game because I've got extra innings, by the way. So I've been just flipping back and forth, looking at different uniforms and seeing what's changed in 25 years.
Baseball, Steve.
And the field that the Red Sox are in is just like Fenway. There's a monster, the whole 9 yards.
Well, how do they get ready for Fenway? They gotta recreate it in spring
Yeah,
training.
yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, of
But
course.
they didn't whenever they were here. Which, by the way, they were. This was the home of the Red Sox for like 30 years.
The Yankees have built the
Leonard?
facade on
Yeah.
on their stadium to mimic Yankee Stadium
Yes, yes. I noticed that as well.
down in Jupiter, right?
The Yankees are in Tampa. They're right across from Raymond James.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see it from the road. Yeah.
So the Tigers are the closest one to you.
Yes. It's in Lakeland. It's about 15 minutes from my house.
Where's
Dang.
the Braves in relation?
The
to
Braves are in between like Sarasota and Fort Myers, so it's about 2 hours away.
Wide World of Sports or whatever?
No, they've moved.
Yeah, I was
They're
gonna say, they moved away too. So
they're not quite to Naples, but they're down there.
Oh, okay.
yeah, they
that's
used to be
cool.
closer to us.
That's cool. So
Well, we didn't
in
live here.
future spring breaks that I go to Naples, I can go see some Braves spring training.
Yeah.
Ain't much to watch.
It's baseball, dude.
Yeah, the 11th.
You're gonna watch them lose.
No, it's the 24th that they play the Tigers up here.
I
In
want to watch some
Lakeland.
good baseball. I don't care if they win. I don't care about wins and losses until they step foot in Truist Park.
I do. You play to win the game, man.
No, you don't, or else they wouldn't do all those subs.
Well,
You play to win the game from opening day all the way through game 162.
I'm mad at the Braves for
You
know.
build your roster in spring training to be able to win during the regular season.
Yeah.
It's like preseason. Like nobody gives a crap about preseason games. The Colts never won a preseason game with Peyton Manning as quarterback.
because he didn't play.
Exactly.
Hey, Facebook user,
Did it matter?
your name is not showing up. We talked about Chris
Right,
Beard
talking
and
about
Ole
it.
Miss basketball coaching search for about the first 15 minutes of the show, so you can go back after this is over and catch that.
Yeah, we had
Yes.
a lot to say about that.
Yeah,
Yeah, had a good
It was a good
had a good
segment.
conversation.
Yeah.
yeah.
So Jake, you don't be the guy that lives and dies on preseason games and reps. It's just that. It's practice. It's glorified practice. They're evaluating young talent to see who fits where.
And the Braves have a lot of young talent. Dodd looks really good. Schultz still looks really good pitching, but I ain't been impressed with any of their hitting.
Well, I mean, it's baseball, dude. You got it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Well, this is one thing I'm thinking about doing. I have not told my wife about this yet. But the Tigers, I've never seen opening day in my life, and the Tigers are in Tampa Bay for opening day.
Oh wow!
Oh, how convenient.
And I'm thinking, but the problem is it'd be like $60 a ticket, and everybody's going to show up for that one because it is opening day.
Well, I mean, you got to go. You've never
Yeah.
been to opening day, so.
Stuff
And then,
like
and
that.
then the next year you got to go to
you're a
opening day in
lifelong-
Detroit.
Yeah, you're a lifelong Detroit fan, so
Yeah, for the last 8 days, I've been a lifelong fan.
right,
You're a lifelong fan, so you don't miss opening day.
right. Yeah.
It's important to be a lifelong fan, and I decided to be a lifelong fan.
I've always dreamed for the last 8 days about going to opening day.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Comerica Park, Cecil Fielder, Kirk Gibson, Alan Trammell. Let's go.
When is opening day? Do you remember?
It's like the 30th.
Yeah, some's on the
Oh,
1st,
March.
and I think the 30th, and
Are you? Oh, that's right. Lucy will be here, right?
Yeah, they're not leaving till the 31st, so that doesn't
Yeah.
work for me.
Where's the? I hate the tradition of the Reds playing the very first game gone away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what?
That doesn't happen anymore, is it?
There is a documentary course on the Great Courses. If you download that, if you have access to that, that's called Play Ball, and it's the history of baseball from the start until 1920, until Babe Ruth. And they tell the story of how the Cincinnati Reds became the Cincinnati Reds, and they talked about the Cincinnati Red Stockings and the first professional team and all of that. And then most of their players immediately after that, like the next year, the Red Stocking players went to Boston, and they became the Boston Red Sox. And so that is why the sock is such a predominant nickname in course. And
Yeah.
and there's also weird little facts, like the Chicago Cubs organization is the oldest baseball club in Chicago, but the Chicago White Sox are older than the Chicago Cubs.
interesting.
Because they started out as the Chicago White Stockings, gave up that name to change it to something else. The White Sox came in and stole it, and then they had to figure out something else to name their team.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. I need
Yeah.
to watch that.
And the Pittsburgh Pirates got their nickname because back whenever they only had contracts for like 1 year, they would just go around to the teams they played and just take all their best players, and everybody called them a bunch of pirates. So they just took that as their nickname.
I like that.
Yeah, baseball's very creative in how they do that.
Corey, what's happening in the Georgia game? I just heard my wife in the background like holler at the TV.
Oh boy.
So something that makes
LSU
you-
just went on a run.
Oh, shit.
It's 2014.
Yeah.
Georgia's turning the ball over like it's. I don't know the analogy here, but they're turning the ball over a lot,
By the way,
and they're ice cold. They can't buy a bucket. They just airballed.
does Cassidy got money on Georgia, and why would Cassidy have money on Georgia?
She just lost Georgia.
Yeah. Oh, she's a front runner?
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's a lot.
Stets-
Yeah,
was
she's
it
a lot
Stets-
longer.
Yeah, Stetson Bennett ran like a 4.6 at the combine, which was like a record for a 45-year-old or something like that.
It was great, dude. That dude is that dude must have been running for his AARP card.
Man, they must have given him oxygen afterwards.
He
Man,
was
that's
trying to
bad.
get in before the early bird special was quit being served.
That's right.
He needed a little inspiration, so he watched Uncle Drew before the combine.
It's supposed to be as a joke, but man, I'm like, man, that's not a joke when a guy, can run a 4.6.
Yeah.
That's pretty daggone good.
I'm not
He
sure
had
I
a
could
really
run a
good day.
4.620 at this point.
Yeah, I couldn't run a 4.610.
All right, so hey, if you want to watch and learn basketball, don't watch this game.
Oh gosh.
Y'all putting on a clinic? Is that what's happening here?
We're putting on a masonry clinic.
Oh
We're
gosh.
building brick houses here, both teams.
Hey, in the Ole Miss South Carolina game, it was like the only thing that was lacking was Benny Hill music in the background.
I mean, we're not far from that here in this one.
There was a time there that Ole Miss game. I was like, man, both of these teams are garbage.
Yeah.
And they're like right before halftime, Ole Miss went on a big run, and then here right at half, South Carolina made a big run. I'm like, good Lord, this is terrible.
Yeah, both of these teams are like, no, you win. No, you win.
Yeah.
Look,
No,
you gotta
win.
go to the GameCast on ESPN and just click on the full play-by-play. It's been 20-14 for like 15 plays in here.
Are you serious?
It's just
Pass, brick.
this is terrible. This is the worst play-by-play I've ever seen in my life.
Fumble.
Let's get the South Carolina girl in here to give play-by-play analysis.
Right.
What?
Yes.
Oh, that's hilarious.
They're like, oh, let's just pull random fans on this one.
Yeah, that's
Next basket wins, guys. Just
Cat-
next basket
Cassidy.
wins. Let's go.
Georgia has not
we're
been
gonna
good
be
at
here for a
basketball
while.
for a long time.
yeah.
Georgia's not very good at basketball. See, other teams in the SEC have SEC players. Georgia does not have those such players.
I don't know if
Neither
you've
does LSU,
seen an Ole
really.
Miss game. Although Ole Miss did beat Georgia this year one game.
They did.
They beat South Carolina 2 games, and they beat LSU 1. So I guess they're the valedictorian in summer school, you know?
Okay, so from 8:55 all the way up to 7:15 for a minute and a half, there was,
Nothing.
nothing.
And the last basket was actually at 9:21. So
the most
Yeah,
exciting
9:21.
parts of the most exciting part of this game is the commercials.
Oh man, that's
it's
rough.
just a great list. When you just look
Like-
at it, you're like,
Like this, they showed an ad for this
Nothing.
dude running for mayor in Philadelphia. Like, come on, hell yeah!
Before we get out of here, we got about 8 minutes left. Do y'all want to talk about the rumored 3 permanent opponents for SEC football
let's
teams?
do
Yeah,
it.
you see, Alabama gets the lucky end of the stick again.
No,
they get
Tennessee gets
Auburn.
the
Yeah,
lucky end of the stick.
I'm
Tennessee
being-
gets the lucky end of the stick.
I'm being extremely sarcastic, by the way.
Yeah.
But yes,
Yeah, I know.
Tennessee did get fortunate.
Yeah, and the problem is they couldn't actually give Tennessee their 3 main opponents because that would have even been even luckier. So, because we're not going to get Kentucky, I don't guess. And they've got South Carolina penciled in there from what I saw.
Yeah.
But South Carolina's not really like a big rivalry. I don't really understand that one, but I guess it's because they didn't want to give us Kentucky, which I get. After we already have Vanderbilt.
Kentucky got Mississippi State because you have to. Mississippi State doesn't have any rivals because
Yeah.
they're Mississippi State. It's absolutely bizarre. They've got Ole Miss and then like Kentucky. I don't know.
You knew like there was no way around. Like some of these teams had like I think it's honestly Israel and I talked about this last night. It's a pretty across the board. It's actually a pretty good draw. I mean, Tennessee gets Alabama. South Carolina's improving drastically. That's a tricky game, but
Yeah.
they do get Vanderbilt. Ole Miss,
have to,
Mississippi
since-
State, LSU, and Arkansas.
Yeah.
From
We
a
have to
fan
give up. We
perspective,
have to give up Vandy. Yeah.
That's so tough. Georgia getting Auburn, Florida, and Kentucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody jokes about that, but Ole Miss and Vandy have played 100 times.
Yeah, no,
There's
that's what I'm saying.
that's actually a real game.
But that's how Tennessee and Kentucky are too. It's the same way. It's just an old rivalry, and I understand it's not competitive now, but
But you're going to
Very old
get that game back every other year. Correct?
Yeah. It
listen-
doesn't matter
so-
because you're going to play
right.
everybody every other year.
It doesn't matter about
Exactly.
it doesn't matter about the 3-game pod because you're adding a conference game which is tougher on everybody, and you're going to see everybody every other year. So,
Right.
which I like that. So yeah,
which
I do too.
it's going to even all out anyway, and they're going single table, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. So,
Yeah.
so Mississippi State and Arkansas can finally play against each other in the SEC championship.
Yeah, my favorite thing is like the permanent opponents, Oklahoma and Florida. I'm like, what?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, great rivalry there.
I think Auburn was an Oklahoma, or they had a weird one too.
Auburn
Auburn
Vandy.
got Vandy because they have Alabama and Georgia. That's the reason
That's
they got
right,
Vandy. It's like, okay, we're sorry. Okay.
So they looked at Alabama and said, we're going
Mhm.
to give you Tennessee, Auburn, and LSU though.
Yeah.
yeah.
So they're considering
Yeah.
Tennessee the gimme game. Was that what we're saying?
Yeah,
here?
that's what it is. They drew a line in the middle, and they did records over the last 10 years. And Tennessee has been so bad, they end up on the bottom with everybody else. So
Damn,
even though they're
Butch-
a top 10 team,
Butch Jones,
Yeah.
Jones, the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, really.
Derek Dooley.
but it was a gift
They were setting
because
up for
again.
success.
because now Tennessee's going to get Vandy every year and South Carolina as a permanent.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 2 automatic wins pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. South Carolina's going to get pretty tricky.
Okay, one permanent win every year.
Yeah, Alabama.
I don't know.
Vandy.
Aren't there 5-5 over the last 10 years over Vandy?
It says some 5 because they killed him this year, man.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Because we all picked Vandy besides Jeb, and
Good.
we look like a fool.
We did not look like a fool. We did not for believing in Vanderbilt.
There's actually a show called Bleav In Vanderbilt.
I'm
Yeah.
just. Yeah, oh, yeah.
They
I'm
don't
not surprised.
really believe in Vanderbilt either, though.
I'm not
By the
surprised Nick
way-
Saban was upset though, because 2 of the 3 teams that they got beat them last year. So I understand that's rough. But anyway, sorry, but
But you get them. We get them at home this year. We get you at home, and we get LSU at home.
that's why I got to get my crap talking in now because it's going to
Does
go.
this
Right.
mean we have to play 2 straight road games
And
against
and
Auburn
you get
because
and
of
you
the
get
change
Ole Miss at
schedule?
home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Other than Hugh Freeze with the Golden Horseshoe at Auburn.
and Texas at home this year. So
Better schedule. Okay.
yeah,
Nice.
a lot better schedule.
Yeah,
One more
the funny
year
thing is, Alabama technically has started the new scheduling profile plan this year. They're one school that has the new scheduling profile
They already have
this year
Texas,
because they have Texas, and they're going to play everybody every other year moving forward. So next year they could play Texas, or the year after they could play Texas. But yeah.
But Corey and Georgia, they tried to play Oklahoma, but that got scrapped. So and Georgia tried to get on that same program, but
Oklahoma was like, yeah, see, if we had back-to-back games like Alabama, Texas, I don't think they would have canceled it.
right.
Like if we had played this year and, well, I don't know, because Alabama will have played Texas twice out of conference, which I think Georgia was not going to play Oklahoma twice out of conference, which I think they were looking for that. That was the original contract, and the move to the SEC broke the contract. So
I'm looking forward to going up to Oklahoma and seeing that atmosphere. And Texas, Austin's just, like I said, it's a weird place, but that's
I don't know if these
that's a
I don't know if
cool
these places
setup.
are ready. I don't know if these places are ready for the influx of Georgia fans, Tennessee fans, Bama fans to their venues.
I think Oklahoma will be fine, and I think Texas will be more like LSU or Tennessee.
they ain't seen SEC travel yet.
Yeah.
They ain't seen that yet.
But
it's a
they
thing,
had the travel with the A&M people going up there.
Yeah.
And
Okay, that's not the same.
no, that is the same thing because those two care about each other more than anybody in the SEC. There's passion in that football game, just absolute hatred.
There is absolute hatred.
Yeah,
I'm just ready to see like Georgia have to go to Kyle Field that they never been to yet. So
Yeah, how's that? They've been,
I know.
It's been 11 years and we still haven't traveled to California. That's asinine.
That's crazy. So
Glad
now
they fixed
everybody's
it.
gonna get to travel everywhere.
Her
Has-
face is sick.
has Tennessee made it up there yet? Has Tennessee
Not
been to
that I know
Kyle
of.
Field?
I don't think they've ever been to Kyle Field.
And I can't remember that.
I don't think
The SEC scheduling profile has been abysmal,
Yeah.
abhorrent, absolutely retarded, and they should all be fired. I mean,
I
it's
agree
ridiculous.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, they might be playing them this year.
Who? LSU
Tennessee.
just did a dunk. Just did a dunk shot.
Oh,
No dunk shots. Anyway, Corey, you want to get us out of here?
Yeah. So like Georgia handling the basketball, it's not good. No, we are SEC After Dark. Steve, Jeb, and Jake. I'm Corey. We thank you for joining us. We're presented by BetOnline.ag and Row One Brand. We'll see you back here same time next week. We'll be talking some March Madness. We will maybe be talking about Chris Beard's official press conference.
Yep.
Who knows? But hopefully the Stegman Coliseum can keep its roof on, and hopefully Georgia can maybe not turn the ball over 1,000 times in this game. So anyway, that's all we got, man. Good night. Have a great week, and we'll see you back here next week. Peace.
Hotty toddy.
Go Dogs.
Roll Tide.
Vols. Oh, and actually, the Vols schedule with A&M